we had done a review of Hakah. Some people know him as Deacon Sicarii. We'd done a review of his deceptive and disrespectful response to D New when she came on this channel and did a Hebrew Israelite 101 intro. It was great. She was respectful, as she always is. But Hakah just couldn't help himself, and so he proceeded as he often does. And so I said, you know, we should respond to this. So we did, but we didn't get through all the clips. And so I said, you know what, I think we need to do this thing again. And so we are going to do this thing again. The title of the show that he had done, responding to her, was BBL Newski. If you don't know what a BBL is, well, I don't know if I'm going to tell you to look it up, but needless to say, what he thinks is a funny joke, even in the title, shows how he can't give a response without sexualizing the woman and lying about her. It's not true that she said blacks aren't special. She just said what everybody knows, which is not Israelites. Okay? But he couldn't handle that psychologically. So let's get through some more clips, and I think we'll have an instructive show here today on Street Apologist Live. Are you guys ready? Let's get started.
Talk about the Jacob and Esau thing. What does she say here?
Esau, yeah. So, you know, as I stated at the top when I defined Hebrew Israelism, the point is that...
Just real quick, this dude's like blowing his nose on his live stream without muting it. I don't understand why 700 people tune in to watch this guy on a regular basis. But they do. This guy's blowing his nose on his show, man. Anyways, just so you know, the speed is sped up on here. And here we go.
Now, she goes to talk about the Jacob and Esau thing. What does she say here?
Esau, yeah. So, you know, as I stated at the top when I defined Hebrew Israelism, the claim is that black people, or again, some groups will include Native Americans and Hispanic people as well, but that these people descend from Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, okay? But Jacob, if you remember, had a twin brother, Esau. And so some, not all, Hebrew Israelites believe that Esau also has present-day descendants, but his descendants, according to them, are white people, okay? This has always been a fascinating thing to me, mostly because it doesn't make sense, okay?
What about the Jewish community? They say that Esau are Caucasians. See, you Christians...
Whoa. What about the Jewish community? They say that Esau are the Caucasians. What's that? No. First of all, we all know that when these Hebrew Israelites talk about Esau, they include the Jewish community itself. The Jewish community doesn't go around saying, we're Esau too. So what are you talking about? They usually say people who are European are Japhetic. That's usually what they say if they get into this thing. Now, the thing is, we're going back to the days of Noah. So these pointing to these ancient ancestors is almost irrelevant and unknowable. That's why the Bible says don't get caught up in this stuff. But this dude literally told his audience, the Jewish community says that Esau is the white people. What? The Jewish community usually refers to different people groups as that. You know, they'll often have Arabs being Ishmaelites. Now, these are all simplistic designations. And they would think in some way they're descendant of Jacob, if they're not proselytes or sons or daughters of proselytes. So what is he talking about? And even the meme, you know, the D-New chose is perfect here. Because it shows like, oh, these guys are twins. Now, they have ways around it. They try to talk about it, but it's really silly. So he's telling his audience this. Now, my guess is, if I was going to steel man his argument, when he says, what about the Jewish community, as if they agree with the Hebrew Israelites that Esau are Europeans. My guess is he might have heard somewhere that there are certain writings at certain points by certain Jews along the line that associate elements of the Roman Empire with descendants of Esau. That is true to an extent. Now, he doesn't even explain all that. I don't know what he thinks he knows or doesn't know. But it's obvious from the context of the times when this does happen. It's usually metaphorically or symbolic to try to say these are our enemies. However, there are also examples within these writings where it seems to get literalized, where you have certain Jewish authorities talking about, well, maybe this really did happen. There's whole studies on this. But to say, what about the Jewish community, says that that's not true. But he's not known for his nuance. He's not known for his scholarship. He's not known for his nuance. He's known for being deceptive and disrespectful. So it's just silly for him to say that.
Really understand that you will get your whole ass toe off. Pause.
What? You really understand that you'll get your whole, this is him responding to D-New. Do you hear that?
Let's go to the Talmud. Let's go to the Talmud. Oh, these guys are so weird and dumb because they believe Esau's Caucasian, but so does the Jewish community. In Megillah 6b, and Rabbi Hama, Germania of Edom. Germania of Edom. We already had an authoritative Orthodox rabbi say that Esau were these Caucasian countries. Germania of Edom, Germany, which is near the land of Edom, Rome, as if the Germans would go forth, they would destroy the entire world. Germania of Edom, 65 chieftains. So it's saying Rome and the Germanic tribes that act as a muzzle upon Esau, Edom, Rome, and prevent it from becoming too strong. So he's saying the Germanic tribes in Rome, those are Edomites. Oh, I thought we were just the ones that are dumb.
Okay. This is a perfect example. Now, we're not even looking at the whole thing here in the Talmud, but there's a few things about this. One is, you guys don't get to, the way you use the Talmud is interesting. I'll just say that. The sort of the pick and choose. But number one, this would not be all Europeans anyway. If we took this literally, right? This part of the Talmud, would it be for all Europeans? No, it would not. He even literally just said it. He actually explained it partially right there. He said the Germanic tribes there. That's not everybody. Just want to point this out.
And we got so much archaeology, history, and prophecy to prove that Esau is the Caucasians.
No, we don't. What are you talking about? Notice how these guys do this. We have so much archaeology, prophecy, we can prove. No, you can't prove it. That's just you saying that. He does a few things for his audience. Here's what he does. He makes them laugh because they have a base bathroom sense of humor, and he revels in that and enjoins them to go ahead and enjoy that. So he makes them laugh. He entertains them. He's essentially an entertainer, not a scholar, not an apologist, Then the other thing he does is give them comfort to their beliefs. The delusions that the Hebrew Israelites hold, by him saying these things confidently with a popular platform, he gives them comfort to the lies that they believe, because they need to be comforted in their lies that they believe, apparently, and he brings that to them. This is what happened. This is what he does. No doubt about that.
The Hebrew Israelites who hold to this are very emphatic in stating that ethnicity and lineage is passed down paternally. It's passed down on the father's side. Okay.
So she doesn't agree that your ethnicity is passed down from your father. So then, even though God...
Isn't this funny? Your ethnicity is passed down from your father. What's he talking about in the context here? He's talking about Jacob and Esau. So if your ethnicity is passed down from your father, Hakah, then how come Esau, whose father was the same as Jacob, is some entirely different people from you say? He's talking about twins. They're on the screen. And he's chastising her about ethnicity being passed down from the father. Meanwhile, the context is Jacob and Esau. Do you guys understand the irony here? This is so sad. The audience can't even keep track of one sentence to the next for continuity. They should be catching him on this nonsense nonstop, left and right. But they're too busy being entertained by him. You understand? That's what's going on here. So shout out to the live chat. Got some great people here. Everybody subscribe to the Reassembling channel. And Theology in Context. I like that name. Theology in Context. Shout out to D New. She's in the live chat. And Nate, my man. But let's continue on here.
If your father is an Israelite, you're an Israelite. Okay, you are who your father is what they say.
The Talmud was written from 200 AD to 500 AD.
But if we're going to be consistent, that has to work for Esau as well. So
yes, it does.
the question is if ethnicity is passed down on the father's side, and if you are what your father is.
Now watch this. We already got we got it on the cross. We got the nails in our hands. We got the nails in both hands.
He's talking about crucifying. Like, what is wrong with you, bro? First of all, he's actually ignoring what she's saying. You see? He's just doing this, oh, we're about to crucify her. Like, what?
Now, this is the nail in the feet, and then we're done here.
So the question is if ethnicity is
No, the nails are already in her feet. We're about to pierce her side with this one.
consistent, that has to work for Esau as well. So the question is if ethnicity is passed down on the father's side, and if you are what your father is, this is the question. What was the color and the ethnicity of Esau's father? The reasoning on this is going to be kind of tricky because according to their own doctrine, Esau would have inherited his ethnicity and color from his father. But the problem is that Esau's father is the same man as Jacob's father. And so now we have Hebrew Israelites descending from a white man. Okay?
Oh.
And then vocab put uh-oh like that. Was basically what she's saying is that no black man can produce a white man. Now we could go to the
That's not what she actually said. She's challenging you, silly guys, on your own presuppositions. But Hakah can't actually just deal with what she said. He has to say, what she's saying is... But notice how his presuppositions are just in full orb. They're just blowing up here. No black man can produce a white man. He's assuming the accuracy, okay, that Esau's father was a black man in the way Hakah understands it, and Esau was a white man in the way Hakah misunderstands it. So D-Nu clearly doesn't share that misunderstanding. So why should she be saying no black man can produce a white man? She's not saying that because she doesn't think that. She's challenging you on your own dumb presuppositions, Hakah. This is... Sometimes I hate doing these reviews, honestly.
Bible to show you in Genesis 25 and 25 how he came out with red pigment.
That's not what it says. It doesn't say he came out with red pigment. But if we're going to use the word there that is sometimes translated as ruddy, because I know what you're talking about in Genesis 25:25, you know what's going to happen to you, Hakah. You need to explain why the same exact Hebrew word is applied to King David. You don't get to use it one way for Esau and another way for King David. You don't get to do that, but that's what you'll try to do. Because that's not what it means.
We can show that. Right. Now, they will say, well, King David, that same word is used, but there's different shades of red. In the black community, we have red.
You're going to love it. But there's different shades of red in the black community. Well, wait, but Esau's not part of the black community, right? And I thought you're not black Hebrew Israelites anyway. But notice how they slip back and forth between black and Hebrew. And you see what I'm saying? This is... Watch this again. So he knows the tint, the tone of the red of Esau from Genesis 25:25 somehow. But he also knows that the tint or the tone of red identically describing David must be within the spectrum that's acceptable to him. This is so silly.
With red pigment. We can show that. Right. Now, they will say, well, King David, that same word is used, but there's different shades of red. Even in the black community, we have red bones, yellow bones. We call our people that. But it tells you how Esau came out. Red like worm's blood, like a ram skin dyed red. That's how they did those blankets back then. Hairy, like that red blanket.
It does not say all the stuff he just said, by the way. So he's trying to say he has some kind of textual information. And I know what he's trying to get at, by the way, but it's all poppycock and nonsense. That he knows the shade of red of Esau, that's the white shade of red. But the shade of red that David is the proper Israelite shade of red. This is so sad.
Like a hairy red blanket, excuse me.
Yeah.
So can a black man produce white people? Absolutely. And you have to ask yourself, sister, if we were all one color at one point, different shades, who created the Caucasians then? He had
His question is based upon his own dumb assumption. Like she has to ask herself the question based upon his own silly assumption. That Adam was black in the way that he perceives, and everybody up until then. So where did the Caucasians come from? This kind of lunacy is the same thing that white supremacists did when they were like, well, since we know Adam was white, where did the black people come from? And they had to come up with these weird explanations like the mark of Cain and whatnot. These supremacists are doing the same silly nonsense. Are you guys paying attention to this? It's not just a laughing matter, though. When this dude goes live, he'll have 700 people watching him, listening to him. You understand? This dude does this full time, man. Imagine that. Paid to be deceptive and disrespectful.
It'll come from a person of color. This is all just so stupid.
Yep, it is Haka.
Black couple make white baby.
Oh my gosh. Let's wait for this guy to Google.
And this is normal.
This is what he's telling us happened with Jacob and Esau, like he knows. Now, I point out in my book, point out that Josephus says that they were identical twins. Josephus says they were. Now, Josephus wasn't there, but the point by showing that is that early within Jewish history, they didn't have this type of silly nonsense as you could obviously expect. Josephus says that they were identical twins. Now, the Bible doesn't say that, but I'm showing how a Jewish attitude at that time, roughly contemporaneous with Paul and all them. You know what I'm saying? Josephus is slightly after that. So that's why I say roughly went up, I mean in the first century. Right? Josephus is saying they're identical twins. You understand? It is so crazy, bro. And, think about all this. Haka, we all know you cannot go back generations all the way to Judah anyway. So this whole discussion is irrelevant to you because you can't prove that you descend from the fourth son of Israel. Can you? No, you can't.
So I hate to have to kill that woman like that. Anyway.
What's wrong with him?
We reached our 2-hour minute mark.
I'd hate to have to kill that woman like that. Why does he talk this way? He talks like OJ. You guys catch that? He can't just discuss it normally. He talks about crucifying her, shanking her in her side. I'm going to play a clip later where he talks about punching her in the jaw. Why? What is wrong with you, man? Can you do this without violent metaphors? That's why people were calling you Deacon Diddy.
White baby. Oh, man. And this is normal. So I hate to have to kill that woman like that. Anyway, we reached our 2-hour minute mark. Let's end this, everybody. BBL Newski has been utterly debunked and destroyed. We are a special people, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. We are the Israelites according to history, archaeology, and prophecy. And if you believe that, hit that like button on your way out of here. Till next time, y'all, peace, blessings.
That's how he ends his show. Now, I started from the last clip because there's one clip I want to deal in here that I'll show you. But this is just, my goodness. You know what? Let me play that clip right now. I'm going to play that clip and then, where I'm going to show him talking about it this way. It's actually a short I recently created. So let me show you this short, and then you'll see what I'm talking about with his language here. Listen on Street Apologist Live. Watch this. I think I may be too hard on Haka. He might be slow.
What happens when you give a
look at his eyes.
Things like this happen, right? And she leaves her jaw out there for me to just go Clarissa shit.
But seriously, nothing can excuse the fact that he goes on an extended metaphor, applying it to D. New, a female Christian, about beating her up, punching her in the jaw.
Clarissa Shields right to her jawski, right? So we're just gonna vet the information. Let's do a nice rebuttal. I did put a funny title. It's okay. It's a lighthearted joke. Okay, the BBL Newski.
Look closely at this man's face. What is going on, bro?
Things like this happen.
This ain't right.
Right. And, she leaves her jaw out there.
What is going on here? Like, it's not just me, right? Clearly, bro, lay off whatever you're on. Lay off whatever you're on. Seriously. Okay, back to our next clip. Here we go.
In this current world, we are governed by laws. Why would people think that God has gone? In this current world, we are governed by laws. Why would people think that God has none now? All right?
Thank you. So this is a common misconception that many, not all, Hebrew Israelites have about Christians, this idea that, we're lawless and that we don't hold to any laws or commandments. But we have commandments, we have instructions all throughout the New Testament. We have...
Now, listen to this, y'all. She said, we have commandments and instructions all throughout the New Testament. Well, watch her name some.
Jesus in the first 3 Gospels, the Synoptic Gospels, we have Jesus telling his followers what the 2 greatest commandments are.
So is it commandments throughout the whole New Testament, or is it just 2 commandments? Which one?
She just named the 2 most important ones, first of all. And that's on which everything hangs. So she didn't just say it was only 2, but those are the 2 Jesus brought out. The big one is to love one another. I'll leave you a new commandment. Jesus is a new lawgiver. Imagine the audience being like listening to this and thinking, good point, Deke. Good point. You're getting her. You're crucifying her. Good job. It's so sad that the deception is so real.
And isn't that works you got to do? Confusing.
They're imperatives.
Only if you're easily confused. It's not works you got to do for salvation. Nobody except for legalists thinks that.
For anyone who believes and follows him, okay? First Galatians, then
First Galatians, sister.
Bro, you messed up so many times on this. She just fixed herself. You got to be kidding, man. This is the same guy that says Martin Luther went to the Council of Trent to take out the Apocrypha. You don't even.
She said First Galatians.
And Galatians.
This is the dude who did a video where he thought Titus wrote Titus. Come on now.
Tells us that we are now under the law of Christ, not the law of Moses, and that we are...
Okay, so the law of Christ. What is everything he said to do law? I know a Christian will say yes. Well, that means there's more than 2.
And so, again, just another erroneous claim by some.
It's funny they make fun of the phrase law of Christ, but it's in the Bible. They act like there's some kind of problem with that phrase. It's in the Bible, man.
Not all Hebrew Israelites. I'm just saying a few things. Again, we're just touching on some of their beliefs. So at this point.
So what are the 2 commandments? That you love the Lord and then you love your neighbor?
Yeah, that's right, Hakah. Jesus said that, bro.
They're acting like that's the only 2 you got to keep. First of all.
No, we're acting like everything hangs on that. You know why? Because Jesus said everything hangs on that. Hakah, why are you going to jump on this? Everyone knows you don't keep the law. You're regularly intoxicated. Okay. You take the Lord God's name in vain. Okay. You don't worship the Lord your God without your heart, mind, soul, strength because you deny Jesus is God, but he is. So you don't do that. You're an idolater. Like you don't keep the law. You don't refrain from any kind of activity on Saturday like you should because you make all kinds of excuses for stuff you could do. You don't keep the Sabbath. We don't have any guarantee that you don't eat pork, bro.
Where is adultery at then? Well, you can say, well, that's. What about committing a sin on yourself? What about?
Wait, why are you even going to bring that up? Based upon certain things you've said, such as prostitution is a legal transaction, no biggie.
Lesbianism. Oh, well, if you're doing...
Bro, let's not talk about your activity of sliding in strippers' DMs. What is going on with this dude? It's funny that he thinks he's doing this from a position of moral authority. You're the most immoral Hebrew Israelite most of us know, outside of guys like Yahweh ben Yahweh, who's passed.
Then that means you don't love the Lord. Oh, so it's not just 2. So that means they're all summed up into 2, not that it's just 2. That's why the Bible says, if you love me, keep my commandments. Christians don't even know how to love the Lord with all your heart. But the Bible tells you.
You don't even believe Jesus is God. The Bible says, if you don't believe I am, you'll perish in your sins.
1 John 5:3. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments.
Whoever believes that Jesus is the Christ is born of God. Everyone that loves him, love him, also begotten of him. By this we know that we love the children of God. When we love God and keep his commandments, for the love of God, to keep his commandments, we have commandments are not grievous, for those are born of God, overcome the world. This is a victory. Notice part of it is you got to love each other. Hakab's not loving, and he thinks he's only going to love certain people. Have you ever seen Hakab be loving,
And his commandments are not grievous. Now, she goes and talks about the Jacob and Esau thing. What does she say here?
I don't know. Go blow your nose again.
So let's go over their problematic interpretation, because when you do read verse 14 with comprehension, you can clearly see that what's being emphasized in this verse isn't what gets emphasized by most, not all, Hebrew Israelites. The emphasis.
So now we're in Revelation chapter 1:14. So in case you're coming in, we're looking at clips where Deacon Sicarii is reviewing a presentation that Dean, who pictured on the screen, did on this channel. And we're showing how in his response he's disrespectful and deceptive. Now the conversation topic is Revelation chapter 1. Shout out to Phil Fox. Everyone please subscribe to his channel. Great brother. And he was on the panel last time. He did a great job.
Is color and not texture. White like wool speaks to color. White as snow speaks to color. If this verse is about texture, if it's about the texture of wool, remember what the Hebrew Israelite claim is that white like wool means woolly hair. If Jesus had hair like wool, according to this verse, if we're going to be consistent, he also had hair like snow. Did Jesus have hair the texture of snow? Is John saying that his hair was light and fluffy? Was it heavy and wet? Did Jesus have a Jerry curl? Is that what we're saying? Was his hair light and powdery? Clearly, this verse is not about texture. It's about color. Okay.
If it's about color, how is snow and wool the same color?
Wait. Did you hear the question this dude just asked? If it's about color, how are hair and wool? I'm sorry, how are snow and wool the same color? Gosh, this is so imagine being an apologist, a Christian apologist specializes in Hebrew Israelism, and this is the kind of stuff you've got to deal with. Don't you guys almost feel sorry for me, honestly? So here we are in Revelation chapter 1, okay? We're on verse 14. I want to show you this. This is from the Legacy Standard. You can grab any translation you like, though. His head and his hair, so it's describing both his head and his hair, Deacon. So is this about the texture of his head, Deacon? No, of course not. It's not about texture. It's about color. And his head and his hair were white. Now, here's what's so epic. It literally says, like, what kind of wool. So when he says, how are they the same color, it's showing he doesn't even pay attention to the verse under question in any meaningful way. He's repeating breakdowns that are given to him from William Christian. This is the first time we've seen Revelation used this way in history, is in the 1890s, when Reverend William Christian wrote about this. He's passing down breakdowns from Reverend William Christian that he doesn't even understand and has not done any kind of textual analysis of. Because I want you to understand, it literally says in the text, his hair were white like white wool, like snow. Gosh, I guess I just need to show you guys, don't I? Don't I need to show you guys real quick? Okay, let me just show you real quick here. I wonder if it's gonna zoom in here. Yeah, actually that might work. Let me see if I can focus it. It's not gonna focus, is it? All right, we'll have to bring it up real quick here. All right, let me just bring it up here. Give me a second here. Okay, so we're gonna go to Revelation chapter 1, and we're gonna take a look at the passage under question. All right. And we're going to go down to verse 14. This is something that they try to use to try to prove the color of Jesus being what they say it is, okay? All right, let me see if I can get this. Hope that's the wrong thing, but that's kind of funny. It's my design thing I had going on there. Let's go into Logos now. All right, we're in Logos. Okay, you guys ready? Let me make this a little larger. Revelation chapter 1 is on the screen. Let me get this a little bit more for you. Okay, there we go. All right, just give me a second. I just want to make this match up better. Okay, I think that works. Yep, I think that works. Okay, you should be able to see everything there. Can you guys can see that enough? All right. Okay, perfect. There we go. Okay, so here we are, Revelation chapter 1. So his head, all right, and his hair were white like white wool. And if you look in the Greek text, let's go ahead and do that. We're actually going to do that, okay? What is the word there? That's a lemma, so that's lukos. All right, let's go on. Let's actually look in the Greek, okay? I want to show this to y'all. We're going to actually bring up the Greek, okay? We're going to go into United Bible Societies, UBS, Greek New Testament, 4th Revised Edition, okay? So we're bringing that up. I want to bring it up, okay? I just want to show you this. I want to show you in the Greek, okay? Now we're in Revelation chapter 1, okay? Understand we're in Revelation chapter 1. We'll go down here to verse 14 here, okay? Oh, wait, I skipped. Oh, my bad. I went to the wrong spot. Okay, now we're there, okay? Okay. Okay, now this is Revelation 14:1. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but here's what I want to point out. You ready? Here's what I'm pointing out. This is prekase. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Prekase. Prekase is hair. Now, right after hair, you're going to see, which is a noun, by the way, you're going to see the adjective describing hair. You see this Greek word, lukai. Lukai. Lukai is an adjective that means white in Greek. So look, hair, white. Understand? Now, that's not all we're going to do then. Because then it has the conjunction that means like. So hair, white, like, and here's the Greek word for wool. Arion. Herion. All right? Now, look at the very next line. After wool, it's lukan. So lukai and lukan are the same word for white. However, this is in the accusative, all right? This is in the accusative. I'm sorry, did I say accusative? This is in the nominative over here, lukai, and lukan is in the nominative. See this? Wait, why do I keep on saying the wrong thing? Oh, I know why. I know what I'm doing there. Okay, now let me make sure I got the right word. Let me just, hold on. Hold on just a second. I need to make sure I do this as clear as possible. I went on the wrong word. But here, white is in the nominative. That's why it has a different case ending. That's why it's lukai. This is in the nominative, okay? Now, the same word, lukan, over here, lukan, you see it? It's the same word with two different case endings, but it's the same word. Understand? Adjective, nominative, plural, feminine here. Here it's adjective, nominative, singular, neuter. Okay? So, when you go over here, white is twice, and now you get like again, and now you have the word for snow. So what this says is hair, white, like, wool, white, like, snow. That's literally what it says. Do you guys understand this? I know I'm not perfect at explaining this. I do my best. But I'm trying to show you on the screen. Here's my point. These two words are the same, what's called root. They just have different case endings. So don't fool yourself and try to think they're two different words, because they're not. These are the same these are the same words, luke and lukan, which just get translated as white, because a lot of the case endings don't even really get translated sometimes in English. Okay, luke, lukan. My point is the translations are accurate when they have the word white twice. So when he says, well, how are snow and wool the same color? It's because it literally says it in the Greek, and in the English translations show it. Hair white like white wool. So what kind of wool? White wool. So just in case a person would get confused easily, it doesn't let you do that because it describes what kind of wool it is. Then it says like snow, which we should understand the color of that. Understand? T. Bishop, I don't know if you're joking. He says it means blonde hair, white people. That is absolutely not what it means. First of all, it says white. It's talking about color of hair. We got glowing hair here. This is like Jesus at the Mount of Transfiguration. That's what's happening. It's Jesus in his divine glory. I don't know if you're joking, T. Bishop, but it does not mean blonde hair, and it does not mean white people. I hope that you're trying to joke or something. All right. So I hope this shows something. Shout out to Jay Will. He's a great Patreon brother. Great Patreon brother. How you doing, brother? So I'm trying to show you as best as I can that it's saying it right here, and yet he doesn't get it when he asks the question that he asks. So I want to go back a little bit more and show you how sad this really is. Okay? Watch this.
This verse is not about texture, it's about color. Okay.
If it's about color, how is snow and wool the same color? Huh? If it's not about texture and color, and if it's only about color, the color of his hair, why is it saying snow and wool? Because snow and wool is not the same color.
Do you hear that? Do you hear how deceptive and dishonest he is? And how honestly dull he is? He's not even paying attention to the translation or the Greek. It tells you the color of the wool, Hakah. So when you're sitting there saying it's not the same color, but it says white wool. So it is the same color because it uses the word white twice just so there's no mistake. You have no excuse to make such a dumb, boneheaded error unless it's simply because you are holding fast to the tradition created for you by William Christian, who was the first person to use this breakdown. This is embarrassing. No one should listen to him or take him serious. But in the sad state of affairs that we live in, they will. But you guys should know the truth. And this is why we need to study the Bible.
Wool's damn near yellow.
Wool's damn near yellow? First of all, you know, it's not like you're familiar with agriculture. We're both city guys, okay? You know, second of all, you don't have to be in this case because it tells you white wool. Let me just repeat the Greek words here again and again and again. Lukos arion. Lukos arion. White wool. Lukos arion. It tells you what kind it is, bro.
Sister, you need to have several seats.
Imagine being confident where you're saying this when D knew was right. And I have to come along and extra show you how wrong you are. You're not doing anything. You literally did nothing. You just looked up pictures of wool briefly and said it looks like yellow. So if that's the case, Akah, did Jesus have a yellow afro? How come your portrayals of him don't show the yellow afro since it's damn near yellow? Gosh, his audience should be able to catch this stuff.
And what color was he?
Notice he's changing the topic, you know, but let's see.
Aristides.
Oh, man, my job is hard.
Israelites will read this verse and interpret it as white woolly hair. They'll say something like this: who else has hair like wool or hair white woolly hair? The black man. Okay. Clearly, you can see though. You know, if you looking at the sentence will just consider things like syntax and consider correct reading comprehension. That's not the conclusion that you should come to. Okay. We'll talk about that in a few more moments.
Don't ever think the second person in the Godhead is melanated.
Next.
All right, just a minute. Here we go. And his feet.
Hear what he said? Don't ever think that the second person in the Godhead is melanated. Is that anything like what she said? So he's throwing out these types of things to just keep his audience asleep. He's like baby mama rocking them to sleep with his lies and slogans. She said no such thing. That's not what this is about. And what are you talking about, second person in the Godhead? You don't believe in the triune God. So what are you talking about, second person in the Godhead? We're just saying you interpret these verses wrong because you're following William Christian's tradition from his 1896 book without even realizing it. You learned this from a GMS derivative, who learned it from Ariyah, who learned it from Abba Bibbins, who apparently heard it from somebody at the Commandment Keepers, who probably heard it from Crowdy, who probably heard it from Christian.
Like it's a fine brass, as if they burned.
I never seen somebody try so hard to say, ain't no way Jesus Christ can look like me.
That's not what they're saying. I've never seen somebody try. Actually, not really trying. So what am I saying?
Ain't no way God's chosen people can look like me. This is how they have destroyed us so much that she's literally going out of her way, exhausting time, resources, energy to prove that there's no way that Jesus could look like her and her people, or that her people could be God's people. She don't even want to. Any other race of people would rock with that. Like, damn, you know what? That's good. Let's do it. She's like, hell no. Ain't no way.
maybe we should just be concerned about truth, Haka. But since you don't care about God's commandments and you are a liar, you don't.
My stupid ass ex-slave, nothing, no history, no culture ass is gonna have anything good coming my way.
Chris.
Thank you. So here, Hebrew Israelites.
Next clip. Here we go.
Okay, here we go. She's talking about the color. There ain't no way Jesus could be black. That's a blasphemy.
Did Dinu say anything like that? So Haka's not a person anyone should take serious because he doesn't quote people right. He doesn't represent their positions right. He doesn't do prep. He doesn't look into things carefully. He repeats what he's been taught for 20 years or whatever the case is. It's not even 20 years. I'm giving him more credit than he deserves. You see what I'm saying? He's rocking his audience to sleep, and 700 people like being put to sleep every couple times a week. Maybe download some videos for your show, bro. Maybe, you know.
Yeah.
It's called an ad.
Amen. Amen. The floor is yours.
Hey, Vocab, at least I'm getting you paid, man. I'm watching a couple of the ads. I'm getting you paid.
Hey, well, I'm returning the favor. People can't watch this video anywhere, so this is the one place they can watch it, you know?
So back to the main discussion of Jesus. For many, not all Hebrew Israelites, this discussion centers on his skin color. So all Hebrew Israelites make the correct claim. It is correct that Jesus was an Israelite. But what that means for them is that they teach that Jesus was black. Now, to be clear, to be crystal clear, no one over here is saying.
Now, look, she's going to say, no one's saying he's white Caucasian. But you're saying.
Oh, but what? Just deal with what she's saying, not with what you want her to say.
Oh. This is what irritates me so much. But wasn't he a Jew? So how do you know he's not? Because you say these guys are the Jews. So how do you know he wasn't Ashkenazi Jew?
Mainly because Ashkenazi didn't exist in the first century because the diaspora didn't happen yet. So they weren't running around Europe in the same numbers. So there wasn't an Ashkenazi population to speak of. That's how, Haka.
I guarantee you she's going to say, well, no one is saying that he's Caucasian. But you're saying that these Caucasians are Jewish.
First of all, that wasn't part of her presentation. But this is why it's titled Deceptive and Disrespectful.
They're the ones. You cannot. I just want somebody to help me, please.
I'm helping you.
Jesus was a white man. These that we see of a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus, absolutely incorrect. Okay? You have to be ahistorical and inaccurate.
But how? Listen. Excuse me.
Real quick, understand I'm playing the clips backwards, so I started from the back of the show because the last one I want to spend the most time on. That's why I did that. That means in the previous clips that I played, they're chronologically after this clip. He was still saying that she was doing a whole white Jesus thing, even though he had already heard her say that she wasn't. You understand? That's why he's deceptive.
There's a Christian in here that can help me understand how you guys can say that those people in the land are the real Jews, but Jesus isn't white. Is there any Christian that can help me? I don't even want to debate. Can you just explain it?
Yeah, I just explained it to you because Ashkenazi didn't exist in the first century.
What you guys mean by that?
It's not that deep, bro. It's not that deep. And she doesn't think
Is there
just
any Christian watching right now?
I'm watching.
Help me understand that.
I'm helping you.
We're not going to throw stones at you. I really would like to understand.
Yeah. Haka, is he a guy that demonstrates the desire to truly understand? No. No, he's not. I don't think anybody thinks that, you know.
Unless they're going to finally say, oh, well, they were melanated people. Then they went to Europe and most of them on the planet turned white.
Well, where you live and who you marry and who you proselytize does affect the makeup of the population, especially after 2,000 years, you know.
Yeah, I don't get it, guys. I just don't get it.
We know, bro.
A blonde-haired, blue-eyed Jesus, absolutely incorrect. Okay?
We know, Haka, you don't get it.
So yes, the Father created him, the second command of the heavenly.
Okay. Now we're on to Haka's actual heresy. Let me play a brief commercial and then come right back. We're going to get into his denial of the deity of Christ in the Trinity here on Street Apologist Live. Don't go anywhere. Please make sure you have hit that like button, y'all. Have you hit the like button? I hope you've hit that like button. Hit that like button, please. Street Apologist Live. More clips.
Nation Radio. I'll tell you about a book that we just helped print and publish. Barack Obama versus the Black Hebrew Israelites. It's written by one of my friends, Vocab Malone. Vocab has done a great job of going through and presenting almost like an introductory manual to the Black Hebrew Israelite religion, and also giving you some talking points from scripture. This is a great book for you guys to read. If you guys are not familiar with the Black Hebrew Israelite movement, it's a movement that is sweeping its way through a lot of urban churches, as well as a lot of urban ministries. We are called to, at all costs, preach the word, defend the gospel by counteracting. Get the book if you're into apologetics. Get the book if you're into defending the gospel, and also if you're involved in any type of urban ministry where you see this going around, get informed about it so that you can really counteract it by having a little bit of knowledge before it, because you can't argue against something that you don't know about. Now, so you definitely want to get this. It's about 140 pages. I admonish you guys to get this book. You can order it at the website listed below. You can also look up Vocab on all of the social media networks. Purchase the book. It's a great price.
Man, I hate these devils. We are live on Street Apologist here today, talking about the deceptive and disrespectful Deacon Sicarii, who does not qualify to be a deacon in any way, because a deacon must be dignified and not double-tongued. He fails on those respects right there. Shout out to the live chat. I see J-Man. How you doing, J-Man? Shout out to you, brother J-Man. If you can, share your information, because I know that you do a lot of stuff on, why can't I think straight? Clubhouse and stuff like that. Let people know what's going on. But I'm just glad you guys are here late night. Make sure you hit that like button. And Adrian is here. We haven't received any super chats yet, and so that's why she hasn't got any treats. She's coming over. She's thinking she's getting something. But this is Adrian right here, the Doberman, on the Dober Cam, and if you guys get support, she gets treat. Super chat equals super snack. So here is where Sicarii denies the deity of Jesus, and let's listen to that clip.
So yes, the Father created him, the second command of the heavenly host.
Yes, the Father created him. Can you share one verse that says the Father created Jesus? You can't do it because it doesn't exist. This is why people in the live chat are saying you're a Jehovah's Witness with fringes.
Jehovah's Witnesses in this way, okay? Following the progression even more, what this means is that Hebrew Israelites do not believe that God is triune. They reject the Trinity.
Where's the word Trinity in the Bible? Where's the word triune in the Bible?
Word fallacy. Dumb. Where's the word monotheism in the Bible, Sicarii? Where's the word Hebrew Israelite as a compound phrase in that way, Sicarii? Where's your name, Sicarii, in the Hebrew Scriptures? The last one is unfair because that doesn't exist at all. But here's the deal. That's funny. Oliver Wilson just literally said what I said. We're of one mind here tonight. Yeah, all right. Now check this out, man. Check this out. Sicarii, the way it works is you're a grown man. You're approaching 40. You need to do better. You need to stop arguing in silly, childish ways, and you need to do better. We know the Latin word Trinity is not in the Bible. We know that. Well, we also know that the concept is taught in the Bible. The word Bible is not in the Bible. That doesn't mean that a collection of books that God authored or superintended is not a concept in the Bible. Certainly it is. 1 Timothy 3 is one place. There's other places. The word monotheism, which is a description of something where there's one true God, that phrase is in the Bible, yet the Bible teaches monotheism. We could go on and do this for a while, right? So the word Trinity, no one's saying that word is in the Bible. The concept is in the Bible. Imagine he still repeats these dumb arguments after years of being out in the street and showing the verses. This is the stiff-necked blindness that comes into play when Satan's got a hold of you, though.
And then look at this. She's got Job 25:4 as if this is talking about Jesus Christ. Oh my goodness. This. Wait, what? Okay, we already got her on the cross. I know I said we weren't going to crucify her. Let's just go ahead and finish this out. You know, we whipped her back. Let's go ahead and put the nails in both wrists.
Did you hear what he just said? First of all, it's an interesting metaphor to use where you're the pagan sinner crucifying the Lord Jesus Christ. That's weird to put yourself in the position where you're saying you're doing this like this is braggadocious. That's weird. But it's really extra hella super weird, for you to have completely adopted not just a white supremacist mentality by calling people something that rhymes with moon and calling people bedwenches and all this other stuff. You haven't just adopted a white supremacist mentality, You've adopted a white slaver's mentality. He literally just talked about whipping D News back. Think of the scene in 12 Years a Slave where that happened. This is what he's talking about. What is wrong with you, man? Listen to this carefully. Hakah talking about crucifying someone. Think about who's doing the crucifying in the Bible, right? And then whipping a black woman's back. This is what he's talking about.
Okay, we already got her on the cross. I know I said we weren't going to crucify her. Let's just go ahead and finish this out. You know, we whipped her back. Let's go ahead and put the nails in both wrists and then put the nails in her feet. How can then a mortal man be righteous before God? How can a woman be born pure? This is just Job saying that we, as humans, are prone to be, unless she's saying every person just when you're born, you're a sinner, then that means what? Jesus came from a sinner. Who? Mary? Mary was born by man and woman. Get. That's what I want to say sometimes. Just get. Okay, let's, I think he plays a commercial.
Great show prep, man. Great show prep. Next clip.
That Joseph.
We never said she wasn't a virgin. She was a virgin until they had sex.
We never said she wasn't a virgin. She was a virgin until they had sex. But you hold that she had sex with Joseph before Jesus was born. Therefore, she was not a virgin when Jesus was born, even though the Bible plainly teaches it in Matthew and Luke, as I demonstrated in my debate with Tazariak and a number of other places. So you do say that. Never said that she was not a virgin? Yeah, we understand that you think she was a virgin before she had sex. That's kind of definitional to it. These arguments are so dumb and deceptive and dishonest.
Drop the Greek mythology. Drop the Egyptology.
Drop the Greek mythology. Drop the Egyptology. Hakah. Understand what the Bible teaches, which is predicted in Isaiah 7:14. I did a whole show on this. You have the one true God being made incarnate, carried by a woman, bore by a woman, but without a biological father. And so the point, I think, of the Job verse had to do with people being born in sin. The virgin birth is a clear way that God showed that wasn't the case with Jesus. Now, God could have done it another way, and Jesus still could have been sinless. But it's a clear example of the fact that he's avoiding that, for lack of a better word. So come on, man. Come on now. It's not Greek. It's not Egyptian.
We never said she wasn't a virgin. She was a virgin until they had sex. Drop the Greek mythology. Drop the Egyptology.
Father of Jesus, okay? And then, so it should make sense that these same Hebrew Israelites deny the deity of Christ. They do not believe that Jesus is eternal. They believe that he's a created being, and actually very similar to...
That's what the Bible says. He was the first spirit that the Father created.
Where does the Bible say that? Let me tell you something. That exact language that he just used, he was the first spirit that the Father created, that's straight from GMS. GMS language is the one who employs that. Show us the verse, Hakah. Go ahead.
Micah 5:3-2.
Now, ask yourself. He just said the Bible says that Jesus was the first spirit the Father created. Is the verse he's going to read going to say that? Is the verse he's going to read going to say that? That's the question I want you to... So he said something and then says the Bible says it, right? But now he's not going to show the verse that he's supposedly saying says it. You understand? That's what we would want. We would want you to give us the verse that says that he's the first created. That's what we would want. Could you give us that? You can't, because it's not the case, because it doesn't say that. But here's the rest of the clip.
But thou, Bethlehem Ephrathah, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me, that is to be ruler in Israel. This is talking about the Messiah, whose goings forth have been from old, from everlasting. Now, we're going to take a look at this in the Hebrew, because other translations get it right, but I don't have to go to the other translations. I'll just look in the Hebrew. Whose goings forth. who's going forth. Let's prove that grammatically this can't mean he's from everlasting, because it says who's going forth. What does this mean, everybody? Origin, a place of origin, a place of going out from. That's a starting point. The word origin literally means starting point.
Whose goings out are from of old, from days of eternity. From days of eternity. Whose origins are from old, from ancient times. There's different ways to explain this or express this, but it is certainly not saying what he is saying, that Jesus had some kind of starting point where he didn't exist prior to that. This has to do with the antiquity of the Messiah. So this is actually showing divine origin. It doesn't say there was a starting point. That's not what it's saying. When you start talking about from eternity past, that's a way to describe a place, a time that only God dwells in. So to say this for the Messiah doesn't mean that he was born or created. Notice he said the Bible says Jesus was the first created spirit. And then he goes a verse in Micah 5 that says whose origins are from old, from ancient times, from the days of eternity. This is saying that Jesus is from antiquity. This is the opposite of describing humans.
So now that we have that and understand that he has a starting point, he can't have a starting point and be from everlasting. So we have to see what this word everlasting means. Sometimes it can be used as perpetuity, but because starting point is in front of it, it just means from ancient times.
Doesn't literally say that. And he said, even in his answer, well, sometimes it can mean that. Now, here's the thing. Here's what's funny. If it means it in the way he is trying to say it needs to be meant, there's something that actually a number of Christian scholars believe this is saying. There are legitimate Christian scholars, understand, and you could even be perhaps Jewish who doesn't think the Messiah will be divine. That's a position some would hold to. And guess what you could understand this passage as? It's actually not that difficult. I wonder if he even knows about this or understood this. There are some who believe this Mime Olam, which is the ancient origin, has to do with the Messiah's line going back to David, is indicated by the Davidic covenant. 2 Samuel 7, 12 through 16 describes this. And from the tribe of Judah, which is even, of course, older than David, from Genesis 49:10, it says, the scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet until Shiloh comes, and to him shall be the obedience of his peoples. Here's what I'm saying. Usually, now I think that this is right to understand this has to do with the antiquity of where the Messiah comes from, meaning that he doesn't have a mere human origin. I do believe that's the point of this. But it's a respectable alternative understanding to see this as saying he's from the Davidic line, which wouldn't necessarily speak to his divinity or humanity in the way that we're having under discussion here. It would just speak about him being from the line of David. But I don't think he's ever considered that. My point is there's Christians who understand it that way and believe that. I just want you guys to understand that, okay? Because that's a legitimate consideration in this discussion. But he is acting like it proves Jesus was created, and it says nothing about Jesus being the first spirit created like he claimed.
Ancient times, long time past, antiquity, long duration. So yes, the Father created him, the second command of the heavenly host.
Now notice, he repeated that phrase again. The Bible never uses that phrase. It's funny. He was like, show me the word Trinity. One word, right? He says, yes, the Father created him, the second command of the heavenly host. The Bible never describes Jesus that way. Never. This is simply cultic heresy being passed down from teacher to false teacher. That's what he's repeating. Everyone should be able to see right through this. It's so obvious.
Jehovah's Witnesses in this way, okay? Following the progression even more, what this means is that Hebrew Israelites.
So obvious. Law of Moses,
So,
next clip.
She, oh my goodness. I wish this was a man talking to me live right now saying this.
What is this supposed to mean? You've already talked about crucifying her, whipping her, and punching her in the jaw and everything else, and shoving a spear in her side,
If what we're saying isn't true, that we can't keep things that are attached to the temple, that's not keeping the law. That actually is keeping the law, because it's against the law. If we were to try to do a law that's attached to the temple, that would be against the law. So therefore, we're actually keeping the law by not doing that. That's Deuteronomy 12.
Hey, you hear that? We're actually keeping the law by not keeping the law. Is that why you can lie and steal too?
If I go to my backyard and create an altar and say, Lord, I'm sacrificing this to you as a free will offering according to Numbers, whatever, that would be against the law because I'm not supposed to give sacrifice unless it's at the temple in Jerusalem.
Really? Well, then why do you have a priest? Why do you have a chief priest? Why does he slaughter a lamb for you during your Passover service, which is on the wrong date? You can't pick and choose here, pal. And also, if you say that's the case, you celebrate the Festival of Booths by putting up curtains in your house and staying inside. You could literally go in your backyard. This is insane, man. The excuses.
Yes, we are keeping the law even when we don't keep the laws that we're not supposed to keep outside of
Yes, we're keeping the law even when we're not keeping the law.
the temple and land. And if that's not true, then why did God say, while you're outside the land, listen everybody, I want you guys to hear this. Why would
Finish
God
the
say,
sentence.
while you're outside the land, I'm gonna say this slow for y'all that went to public school. While you are outside the land, you have to obey everything that I'm commanding you this day. Why would he say that if we couldn't do it? Or if we were wrong on our understanding on how we're keeping it? Does that make sense, everybody? Does that make sense? If not, you guys are going to have to reconcile what God is saying here. He's saying the Israelites will not be in their land. There won't be a temple, even though there's laws pertaining to the land and temple, but they will.
It's so funny, this discussion. Hakah, did you forget the part where Jesus said one greater than the temple is here? Did you forget where Jesus described himself as the temple? You forgot about that? We don't need no temple, bro. You forget where Hebrews warns Christians not to go back to temple ritual and sacrifice because if they do, they're trampling on the sacrifice of Jesus. Did you forget that was in the book of Hebrews, Hakah? Think about what I'm saying. Did you forget because of our union with Christ where we're described as the temple of the living God, as is the collective body of church and individually as well? There is no need for a temple. So that whole conversation you're having is silly about something you can't even do, and yet you have a priest without a temple? Is that where the priest does his function, outside the temple? So you said you don't keep the laws you can't keep, then what's up with you having a priest?
Still have to obey everything that he's commanding them, Moses, this day. That means we're actually keeping the law when we're not doing things that are supposed to be done in the land while we're outside, scattered in other nations. So what they're saying is that since you can't keep some of the laws that pertain to the temple and pertain to the land, don't keep any of them. Just be a filthy, disgusting sinner like all of us.
No, it's not what's being said. But it's weird you're talking about filthy, disgusting sinner when you regularly talk about you and strippers' relationships.
And just believe in the blue-eyed, white, blonde-haired Jesus, and that's where your salvation will lay.
She literally said that's not what she's talking about. You're a liar, man. Deceptive liar. It's deceptive liar, man. That's what you
She's
are.
a straight liar. Are you about to leave right now?
That's funny.
Aren't you tired already?
Pinocchio calling someone Pinocchio.
She just sat up here and lied, everybody. She said that the word just means bye, right? Y'all heard her say that, right?
All right, so this is our last clip. Let's play a commercial real quick. Let's get in this last clip here on Street Apologist Live. I appreciate everyone being here with me late night. I know it's late, but we got a good amount of people watching. I appreciate you guys being here watching. Just let me play this last commercial real quick, and I'll be right back with the last part of the show. Make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell, and become a Patreon. If you can't, do the Cash App. I need to put it actually up on there. And shout out to the mods in the house. And make sure you subscribe to my man Jim Green's channel. He's with us. We got more and more apologists coming up. It's beautiful to see. I'm really appreciating all the support and love from the community. We're getting better and better by the day. We'll be right back on Street Apologist Live, ladies and gentlemen. No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. How are we doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Street Apologist Live. Today we're doing a breakdown of Haka from Sicarii and his recent reaction to D New, who did a presentation here on this channel. And what we're showing is that he's dishonest and deceptive in how he approaches reactions. And we've been showing that, played a number of clips here today that I think have successfully done that. It's very unfortunate that this is the way he proceeds, but it is the way he proceeds. And so I want to real quick drop the Cash App link to support here. I should have dropped it sooner, but now you can support, which I really encourage you to do. And let's get into some more clips here. This is the last one dealing with Deuteronomy 28:68. Ladies and gentlemen, it is coming up right now on Street Apologist Live. Let's take a look at this together.
Are you about to leave right now? Aren't you tired already? Okay. She just sat up here and lied, everybody. She said that the word just means bye, right? Y'all heard her say that, right? She could watch any Israelite camp on YouTube for an explanation. Now watch this, y'all. Watch this.
Why waste your time?
She just sat up here and lied and said, see, the word means bye, as if it only means bye. Now watch this. Somebody said, of course she lied. Deacon, why are you surprised? Let's see if she's a liar or not, like all Christians. Does it just mean bye?
Liar like all Christians. Remember that Haka's camp teaches that you can lie as long as this is someone of a different ethnicity. So it's weird they go around saying, oh, liar like all Christians, when they have an official doctrine that says it's okay to lie. You know, what are you talking about? And then also, we have a recent example of him really, really lying. And it's simple things, but it's a perfect example where he was on God Logic's channel, and he said, if you look this up right now, I'll give you $25 Cash App. You guys remember that? He never sent him the Cash App. He even said, I'm a man of my word, but he didn't do it. You know? You know, it's just straight lies. So here we go. Hey, Jack Matters, I know you're trolling, and I am helping you understand. Just maybe pipe down for now and just listen, and you'll learn. So I'm glad you're here, but maybe just keep the fake ploy to yourself. Shout out to Warrior Woman in the house. How you doing? Good to see you.
Okay. Wait, what did she do? Because I think I might have looked away. Did she show what it meant on the screen, or did she just tell us? Oh, she's so deceitful.
If you do any type of Hebrew word study and look at how that word is used in that verse, look at word usage for that verse, you will see that bye means bye. It means bye.
Word usage for that verse.
Mm-hmm.
So what lexicon do you have that says when it's used in this verse, this is what it means?
Well, I'm gonna show you, Haka, since you asked. So just hold on, because we're going to get into it.
And then when you show me that, who the hell made them the authority?
Notice what he does. He tries to set it up here. Where's the lexicon that says that? Well, who made them the authority if they agree with you? Haka, who made Strong the authority? Who made Brown Driver Griggs the authority? That's not how it works. The way it works with these lexicons is if they know the material and they collate it to help us accurately understand the way these words are used, and they know the language, then we look at what they have to say and find out if it's true and accurate. And that's why we have multiple lexicons to look at, as well as commentaries where they interact with these sources. Haka, who made you authority? I don't go around claiming to know Hebrew. You don't know Hebrew. So who made you an authority of any kind that you could question? You see what I'm saying? This is so silly, but we're going to get into it since you went ahead and did this.
Are they the top Hebrew linguists?
Who is the top Hebrew linguist? Is it somebody affiliated with One West? We've never even heard anyone have a conversation in Lashawan Kodash in our lives, Haka. You guys remember to say, Kwam Yasharala, when a white lady licks your boot, but you don't know even Lashawan Kodash well enough to say, where's the bathroom in Lashawan Kodash? Where's the library in Lashawan Kodash? Or have a conversation where you tell a joke in Lashawan Kodash, or you have a conversation with two camp guys. It doesn't happen because you don't know. You've got a couple phrases you memorize passed down to you by Aria.
So let's just take a look at this, right?
Well, who made Strong's the authority? He's looking for the right thing to make him agree with what he needs. It's right in front of his face, by the way.
Acquire. So it does have it right here as a...
Yes, it does, Haka. Yep. So who's the liar?
Verb, third person. acquire. Acquire.
He's looking around, trying to find where it doesn't mean to buy. We're waiting.
I mean, I could just show you the usage, and it's going to take context.
He tried to look it up. He couldn't find what he wanted. So he's like, oh, I could just show you the usage, but it's going to take context.
And knowing history to see what the word means when used in Deuteronomy 28:68. Also, how that whole verse is composed.
You got to understand history. He's saying you have to believe the transatlantic slave trade is the way to find this. Do you guys understand what he just did there? He's trying to front load what it means. Hey, man, you don't get to contextually change what's going on in Deuteronomy 28:68 by believing in one Westism. That's what he's doing. This is embarrassing to watch, man.
Acquire, create, buy, possess. To get, acquire, obtain. Redeeming.
He just read a bunch of definitions that agree with what D. New said.
His people. To be bought. But as you can see, when we do...
Notice also, it matters. That was in the... Here, I'm going to go back a little bit. The Nephal. And we have the Hifil. So we're going to look and find out which one this is in Deuteronomy 28:68. That is very relevant to the discussion, okay? Because I'm going to tell you, by the way, it's going to be in... Hold on, let me make sure before I say this. I want to make sure I look it up. It's in the... Oh, it's in the qual. Okay, so that's important.
To be bought. But as you can see, when we do a concordance result, you see the word we used.
When we do a concordance result, that's just a... This is going fishing, man.
For no money. It says Exodus 15:16. Fear.
Shouldn't you've had that already set up, man? Let's see what Exodus 15:16 if it saves him. All right, let's see here. Exodus 15:16. All right, let's see here. What? That doesn't save you, bro. Why do you think that saves you, man? You think that saves him? It says, terror and dread fall upon them. By the greatness of your arm, they are still a stone until your people pass over, O Yahweh, until the people pass over whom you have purchased. Okay. How does that save what you're trying to do? It doesn't fix it.
Dread shall fall upon them. By the greatness of thine arm, they shall be as still as a stone. Till thy people pass over, O Lord, till the people pass over, which thou hast purchased. Did God go steal the gold from the Canaanites and then say, all right, Satan, you got my people trapped. Here's some gold. Did he literally buy us as like a monetary transaction? No.
Wow, this is so dumb. First of all, let me show you the reasons why this is dumb. Okay, I'm trying to leave him paused here. I need to share my screen. Okay, let me share my screen here. All right. Number one. Okay, number one. The metaphor doesn't make sense unless the purchasing element is present, because it's saying God redeemed or purchased. It's utilizing a transactional metaphor, even in this instance, okay? First of all. Second of all, specifically in Deuteronomy 28:68, you have a real problem here, okay? And I'm going to show you the problem with what you're trying to do. Let's go to the end of the verse. Let's go to the end of the verse. Let me do this way. Let me do this way. All right, see this? Because the very line before it has to do with transactions. So to try to eliminate where it says there will be no buyer, you literally have to ignore the line before, because look what the line before says. There you shall offer yourselves for sale. Now you can change it and have it read what the KJV does. That's fine. But the element is still the same, that there's selling going on. So because you have sale, it makes sense that you have buy. This is so easy. Do you see what I'm saying? The very line before it. So there's a consistency where you have a selling and a buying, a selling and a purchasing. It's so easy. And the consideration is male and female slaves. He's trying to turn it into something else to make it not literal. It's dumb because he knows it doesn't fit the transatlantic slave trade. You guys understand, though? The very line before it says, you'll offer yourselves for sale. The KJV says something different, so let me just show you, because people should know. Most people that deal with the Hebrew Israelites know this, but let me show you here what the KJV says, okay? Because this is relevant to this discussion, because you need to see the KJV here. I know it's a little bit small down here, but I'm going to show you what it says. You shall be sold unto your enemies. Okay, that's fine, because guess what? It still has the same word, sold. So that's why the word buy makes sense, not just the fact of what the word means, but the fact of the context of it. Do you guys understand that? I hope that's made clear. Now let's go back to what he's saying here. He has to do all this, you have to forget the very line right before it, is what I'm saying.
So we see the word can be used as redeem in a lot of places. It's used as redeem.
Well, you showed us one where you think it proves your point. You didn't show us a lot of places. So he thinks he did something there. So let's go and really look at this, okay? I've got some resources up on the screen. I think it's time to really look at these. You know, he didn't do a good job proving his point. Oops, that's the next thing I'm trying to show. Oops, that's the wrong thing too. Hold on, just give me a second here, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, here we are.
And, you know, she leaves her jaw out there.
Okay. Jeez, my goodness. That's not what I'm trying to go after. Come on, man. Okay, there we go, finally. All right, so let's look at this word, okay? Deuteronomy 28:68. He's making a big deal that she's just pointing out the word means what it means, okay? Buyer. Understand? The word is kone. Kone. It means buyer, all right? If you want to look at the Strongs, it's H7069. So let's look at a couple different lexicons, all right? That's, I think, important and going to be helpful for us to do, is to look at some lexicons. I've got a number up here, and we're going to take a look at a number of different lexicons. First, let's go to the Theological Word Book of the Old Testament. This is a significant lexicon, and it's not by one person. It's by multiple people. Shout out to Jay Will for the first super chat of today, by the way. Jay Will, you get the first super chat. And so, I'm going to give the dog the first snack. She's very happy. Got brand new treats from Old Mother Hubbard. Adrian, come here. Come on, treat. There we go. All right. Okay, so let's take a look here. Thank you, Jay Wilson. He's a Patreon guy, too, so that's extra love. Quana, I get, acquire, create. There's derivatives of it. All right? So this is going to get kind of technical, but we're going to read through this. This is in more depth than what he's talking about. And by the way, context is going to determine anyway. All right? Here we go. These radicals involve 3, not 2 roots. So there you have a discussion between lexicons. I'm just pointing this out real quick. This is what a good lexicon will do, because you have them agreeing with this lexicon over here, Kohler and Baumgartner, but then disagreeing with Brown, Driver, and Briggs. This is good. This is how we do interactive scholarship. So there's elements where they disagree. Understand? In Quana, we discern one root denoting a commercial financial acquisition of movable goods. This is literally the root. This is the root of all of these. And they're saying, here's the derivatives. And I just want to point out what this is showing. See, 1, 2, 3. Now look at this. This is the baseline element of it. So this is the primary place you would go. And again, I challenge you to go against the Theological Word Book of the Old Testament if you have a better resource. In Quana, this is the word under discussion in Deuteronomy 28:68. We discern one root denoting a commercial financial acquisition of movable goods. They give an exception where Proverbs describes wisdom is to be acquired, but that would not help him. Another root denoting creation by God. For the third root, read. And then it goes into this from that, proper laboring. And now here you have this. It says, distinguish it from Ga'al, which means to redeem or buy back. It literally says you got to distinguish it from that. Both meanings of kana occur in Ugaritic, so they're using cognate languages there. Biblical occurrence is number 182. So there's 182. The verb kana is the usual word for buying something. Do you guys understand how bad this makes him look? This is way more in depth than Strong's, by the way. The TWOT. By the way, Warrior Woman, thank you for the super chat. Adrian. So here you go. Here she goes. She gets a super chat snack. The verb kana is the usual word for buying something. Commercial transactions were accomplished in several ways. Especially interesting is the ancient custom involving the one of giving one shoe. Now notice they give the examples here. To the purchaser, symbolizing forfeiture of the hereditary right of redemption. Transactions could either be recorded or otherwise publicly witnessed. Because sacrifices were to be offered for oneself, they must also come from one's own possessions. Therefore, when David sought to make a sacrifice to end the plague, he felt compelled to purchase the land. As king and perpetrator of the census, it was his responsibility to personally appease divine anger. Temple repairs were not paid for from the royal coffer, but from the gifts of the people. The laws of Israel safeguarded private ownership and the right to amass private capital. Since the land and all that is in it belongs to God, it was not theirs to sell, but only to rent. Other nations were not so constituted. Hence, Abraham could purchase land from and it became the perpetual possession of his family. In Egypt, the Pharaoh bought all the land except the land of the priests. God ordered the theocracy so that the original allotment of the land, which represented the eternal rest, would be established every 50th year, the year of Jubilee. This reallotment was to govern the real estate transaction, as it's evidenced by the injunctions regarding purchase prices. Land lost due to poverty could be redeemed by a kinsman, or if the original owner prospered, he could redeem it. Notice how redeem means just to buy something back. So even if you do redeem, it doesn't get you out of the fact that there's purchasing and buying and selling going on here. If no human redeemer was to be found, the land was redeemed by God himself on the 50th year, God being Israel's redeemer. So there he doesn't literally have money, but the concept is still the same of purchasing something. You guys understand? This explains why houses and walled cities could be sold in perpetuity. They did not involve ancestral land rights, while Levitical houses were perpetually redeemable. They were God's personal possessions, either because they were his allotment for his personal staff. The Levites were because they were returned and holy to him, and while Levitical lands could never be sold at all, they were eternally redeemed. So this is excellent, because what this shows is from the Theological Word Book of the Old Testament. We're discussing the word kana. This is all under the entry. This shows you the more in-depth the more in-depth lexical sources have stuff like this. So here's the thing. I can guarantee you Hakah will not respond to this because there's no response to be made. I can guarantee you that he won't. Okay. I gave a dog another treat there. So, go sit down. Go sit down. Sit down. All right. Thank you for the super chat reassembling. So, I gave her another one. All right. It says keep up the hard work. All right, so Theological Word Book of the Old Testament, going through this is very important to understand. Slavery was allowed in Israel under certain conditions. Only non-Israelites could be true slaves, property of an Israelite. This is true, by the way. This is not to be doubted. This is what the Old Testament laws have. No doubt about that. All Jews were brothers and servants of God, hence they could not own one another. If because of poverty or punishment or theft the Jew went into bondage, he was to be treated as a hired servant. He could be redeemed, bought out of bondage. So even the idea of redeemed has to do with being bought out of bondage. Do you guys understand that? That is what the passage is saying. It's saying no one will buy you out of your bondage, in the sense of you can't even become an indentured servant, because, or the price will be so cheap. There's a hyperbole element to this. Either by a kinsman or if he prospered by himself, and no redemption was forthcoming, he would be set free. The 7th year or the 50th year kinsmen were to buy back enslaved relatives. These injunctions virtually established the abolition of slavery for Jews and Inti, where there is neither Jew nor Greek, and that theocracy is coextensive with mankind. Slavery is also principally abolished. Now it gets into a different word here, right? The parallel, Gaal, which is what he kind of is more looking for. And it talks about being create. Now, the thing is, this is a lot to read. But notice how none of it agrees with what he's saying. That's one. That's a theological word book of the Old Testament. Now, this is a concise Hebrew and Aramaic lexicon of the Old Testament by William Holiday. All right. And what does he say? It's a much more simple entry. Acquire a field or buy. Buy as a wife, ransom, redeem slaves. It means to buy them, though. Be bought. You see this? These are different examples from different lexicons. He doesn't get to say it means something it doesn't mean and not give us any evidence, because he doesn't do that. So here's yet another lexicon. All right, I'm going to make this a little bigger. I know that was hard for you guys to see. This is the same word, quana, to acquire or create. All right, let's look into this. This is the Lexham Theological Word Book. Let's say, yeah, this is a newer lexicon. Quana, to acquire or create, refers typically to acquiring something through purchase or labor. What he doesn't want it to mean, but it is what it means. Dinu's right, Hakash wrong. The verb is most often used for acquiring property, goods, qualities, or other abstract concepts, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. However, in a few instances, it means to create. Genesis refers twice to God as a creator, quana, because the idea is he owns it. Understand? Of the heavens and of the earth. Deuteronomy, Moses says that Yahweh, Israel's father, created quana, them. David says that Yahweh, quana, created his inward parts. Proverbs says that Yahweh, quana, created wisdom. It is not always clear which sense of the verb is intended, and in some of these passages, it may mean acquire rather than create. So the thing that you got to understand is because it has to do with ownership. You see what I'm saying? That's why sometimes it can be that. That's my understanding anyway of it. So we're learning here together. So the word is quana. Now we're in Gesenius, Hebrew Chaldee lexicon, Old Testament. The different lexicon. I'm showing you one on this on the screen. See, these all have abbreviations. You can see which one it is right there. All right. Ready to look at this? Hold on. Let me make sure I've got the right thing. Okay. All right. There's a different lexicon on the screen. And do you see? To acquire for oneself or to buy. You see it's on the screen? I think he wants it just to be this. But the problem is it's talking about selling right there. It's literally talking about selling right there. Now, the other thing is the discussion of the way that it's used here. The buy, all right? It gets technical, but there's an argument to be made for what to do when it's in the qual. When it's in the qual. This gets a little bit above my pay grade, but I'm learning more about the argument because I think what happens is when it's in the qual, it can only mean one thing one way. That's my general understanding. Still looking into that. And this is that an example? No, I don't want to speak above what I'm still learning about. That's a further argument that has to do with something that I'm still learning about. But basically, I think you can see what I'm saying from this. So now let's go into yet another. Now we're in Strong's, okay? Since he likes it. Quane. Maybe it's a better way to pronounce it. Oops, I was on the wrong one there. Where'd it go? Hold on. Come on now. There we go. Okay, yeah, there we go. There we 769. Yeah, Quana. My bad. Authorized version, that's the KJV, translates as buy 46 times, get 15 times, purchase 5 times, buyer 3 times, possessor 3 times, possess twice, owner once, recover once, redeemed once. That's what he wants to try to go for, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it's transaction, even if it's translated that way in English. Translated miscellaneously 7 times. To get, acquire, create, buy, possess. Qual, the most frequently used verb pattern, expresses the simple or causal action of the root and the active voice. So my understanding is when it's in the qual, that's what it always means. Now, I'm going to look more into this, but my point by saying that is the reason why it's relevant is because buyer here, it's in the qual. And look at what it's saying, even in the Strong, about what it means when it's in that. You see what I'm saying? 1a, to get, acquire, obtain. So I think this is helpful. This is other examples. So what he's saying is just not right. And it's just old One West garbage, you know? Here's the BDB to get acquire. Very similar thing, you see? Bada boom, bada bing. So he's making fun of D New, and it's like, bro, you know, I mean, who's really right here? Now, there's more to be said with the cop, but I do want to show you this briefly. We've seen he's deceptive and disrespectful between these two programs. We need to explain this from the Bible briefly about that and why that shows there's a lot of problems with calling him deacon. Number one, we've heard him a number of times throughout these past two shows claim to know things about people and what they are and what they believe and what they do and what they don't and all this. But it's lies, you know? And this is an important verse to remember in relation to that. Deuteronomy 19:15, a single witness shall not rise up against a man on account of any iniquity or any sin which he has committed. To the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses a matter shall be established. So when he accuses D-New of all types of immorality, and a couple times on this program, myself as well, this is important to understand. But in your case, if we wanted to go there, Hakah, with you, we've got newspaper articles. And you know what I'm talking about. Then we got this as well, all right? This is from 1 Corinthians. We didn't get deep into the show, but I am reiterating some stuff here. Here, Paul says, if you don't think what I'm writing you is the Lord's commandment, then you're ignorant, you'll be ignored by God. Look at this, 1 Corinthians 14, 36 to 38, because he denies the full authority of Paul and says sometimes he's got to check him because Paul got some stuff wrong. That's what he says, man. Was it from you that the word of God first went forth, or has it arrived to you only? If anyone thinks he is a prophet or spiritual, by the way, Hakah says he can see the future. I have a short on that, so he claims he is a prophet. Let him recognize that the things which I write to you are the Lord's commandment. But if anyone remains ignorant about this, he is ignored by God. Hakah is ignored by God. Now we look at what he calls himself, which is deacon. Now let's see if he meets the qualifications. They must be dignified, not double-tongued. That means you can't be like, well, I'm not saying this, but it could be this. That's exactly what he does. Not indulging in much wine. We already know that's a problem. Not fond of dishonest gain, but holding to the mystery of the faith with a clear conscience. And these men must also first be tested and let them serve as deacons if they are beyond reproach. No, that's not what I'm talking about. Whoever this unknown opinion OID, that is not any, I don't have any evidence for that. You know what I'm saying? We don't really get into this, just slander. It's got to be something that's evidenced. And, you're just kind of being like them when you go that route. You know what I'm saying? I got receipts. No. Women must likewise be dignified, not malicious gossips, but temperate, faithful in all things. So he doesn't even qualify to be a woman deacon because he is a malicious gossip. Deacons must be husbands of only one wife, leading their children in their households well. Now here's the thing I want to show you. What is the mystery of the faith? Because here it says that the deacons must hold to the mystery of the faith with clear conscience in verse 9 of 1 Timothy chapter 3. By the way, it's ironic. He discounts Paul's authority, yet Paul's the one who lays out the conditions for his own office that he says he holds as deacon. Here's the common confession described in 1 Timothy. Later on in the same book, specifically chapter 3, verse 16. By common confession, great is the mystery of godliness. He who was manifested in the flesh was vindicated by the Spirit, seen by angels, proclaimed among the nations, believed on in the world, taken up in glory. By the way, this shows the deity of Christ and it shows the universal nature of the gospel. He denies both. Romans chapter 16. Now, why am I going to go here? I need to show you this briefly. See this idea of the deacon needs to hold to the mystery of the faith with a clear conscience? I want to show you where Paul uses the phrase in Greek mysterion, and let's look at the content of it. Because here's my challenge. Whenever you see mysterion frequently in the New Testament, guess what it does? It refers to the fact that the gospel will be brought to the Gentiles. I'm going to prove it right now. Romans 16, now to him who was able to strengthen you according to my gospel and the preaching of Jesus Christ, according to the revelation of the mystery which has been kept secret for long ages past. Now watch what the mystery is. But it now is manifested, and by the scriptures of the prophets, according to the commandment of the eternal God, has been made known to all the Gentiles, leading to obedience of faith. So how do you obey? By having faith in Jesus. You don't have faith in Jesus because you don't have the right Jesus, so you're not obeying. It's very simple. But someone may say, well, that's just saying the Gentiles are knowing. That doesn't mean any. Well, I got other verses, so let's watch this about the mystery, the mysterion. Ephesians 3, watch the way he defines mystery. This is Paul, because he's saying a deacon has to hold to the mystery. So watch what the mystery is, about which when you read, you can understand my insight into the mystery of Christ, which in other generations was not made known to the sons of men, as it was now revealed to his holy apostles and prophets in the Spirit. By the way, he's one of them, not you. What is it? That the Gentiles are fellow heirs and fellow members of the body and fellow partakers of the promise in Christ Jesus through the gospel. Notice it doesn't have anything to do with Isaac or Jacob. It has to do with Jesus Christ. The mysterium is that the Gentiles will be full partakers. And that's what the deacon described in 1 Timothy has to hold to. He doesn't hold to it. He doesn't meet the qualifications. Look at it here in Ephesians 3, where he elaborates further about the mysterium, of which I was made a minister, according to the gift of God's grace. Note it's not by law working, it's by the gift of God's grace. Charis is the Greek word there, which is given to me according to the working of his power, his dunamis. To me, the very least of all saints, this grace was given to do what? To proclaim to all the Gentiles the good news of the unfathomable riches of Christ, not the good news about keeping the law or some other nonsense, which we know you don't do anyway, but about the riches of Christ, and to bring to light for all that which is the administration of the mystery, which for ages has been hidden in God who created all things. And doesn't say he created Jesus, because he doesn't. One more place I want to show you about this mystery. You guys ready? Because it shows he doesn't hold to the mystery described in 1 Timothy 3 that deacons must hold to, so he doesn't deserve the title of deacon. Colossians 1, Paul again. That is the mystery which has been hidden from the past ages and generations, but has now been manifested to his saints, to whom God willed to make known what is the riches of the glory of this mystery among the Gentiles, which Christ is in you, the hope of glory. In him we proclaim, admonishing every man, remember Gentiles were just mentioned, and teaching every man with all wisdom, so that we may present every man complete in Christ. This is very important and shows he is no deacon. Let's end with one more brief little clip that I made a short of, because I made a number of shorts. I may be too hard on Hakah. Let's watch this next one here in a second.
When you give a woman a microphone and a camera.
Maybe just drunk. I mean, look at his eyes.
Things like this happen, right? And, you know, she leaves her jaw out there for me to just go Clarissa shit.
But seriously, nothing can excuse the fact that he goes on an extended metaphor, applying it to New, a female Christian, about beating her up, punching her in the jaw.
Clarissa Shields right to her jawski, right? You know, so we're just gonna vet the information. Let's do a nice rebuttal. I did put a funny title. It's okay. It's, you know, it's a lighthearted joke. Okay, the BBL Nooski.
The American government does have their own people in captivity. You can't do anything you want. You can't. Try not paying taxes. Try driving without an ID. Try taking a certain amount of money out of your bank. Try leaving the country without certain documents. First of all, the Bible says taxes are a form of oppression and bondage. Hello, duh. Taxes itself, the Bible says that, are a form of oppression and bondage.
He says he's in captivity, yet he's able to walk around the streets like this.
Said this has not happened yet. Any stupid Christian to believe that, you're just going to look more stupid than saying 1 + 1 + 1 = 1 with the false Trinitarian ideology.
Hakah's in captivity. Yet he makes you buy videos on Patreon to show people licking his feet or his camp members knocking them out. Captivity.